Jerry, share a little bit about your role and in the community and your business.
Okay, I'm president of Sanda Communications. We bill ourselves as storytellers for the information age. We do advertising, PR, marketing for mainly technology companies, but we've also done work with OSU, the Software Association of Oregon, the Willamette Innovators Night. We helped rebrand it, rename the event from what it was before. My background goes back to being an aviation electronics technician in the Navy, working on Navy aircraft. After that, I got out and went to school in San Francisco. In the 70s, graduated with an English Lit degree, but always worked in technology. And I happened to be there working in the machine tool business and manufacturing during the formation of Silicon Valley. So we actually put some of the machines in there in Silicon Valley when Apple, Atari, HP, Lockheed, all these companies were coming together. And I actually made a study of entrepreneuring and innovation during that period. And I also got involved with industrial robotics at that time. So I was one of the very first people to do robotics. So I became a certified manufacturing engineer in the field of robotics and kind of balanced that with my English Lit liberal arts degree in communications. And did consulting for 10 years in the Bay Area and also San Diego, and then moved up here in 98. And instead of just consulting, formed Sanda to help high-tech startup companies, spin-offs of HP and OSU, to get started.
Good. How does innovation vary for your clients? I mean, tell us your background of innovation. People have a different idea of what that means.
Well, innovation from what we see in the private sector is driven by an entrepreneur who wants to build a better world, has a vision and a belief in doing something different, disrupting existing technology, creating wealth, creating jobs, and basically, just like Steve Jobs recently said, it's not about the money, it's for building a better world. And they have a passion and tenacity to make those things happen. The world, by and large, likes to remain the way it has been. And you need entrepreneurs and innovators to kind of kick it in the butt and get it to stop doing what it used to do and to do something new. So Sanda's job is typically working with engineers and scientists who are good at creating things, but they're not necessarily good at communicating. We understand their technology, their market, and how to explain what they do. So we spend time with them in the embryonic stages, helping them formulate a brand, a corporate ID, and creating their essence that communicates to the market, to investors, who they are, and what makes them different.
Awesome, and that brings me to a good point of investors. With the economy, a little soft and investors harder to find maybe, do you really have to sharpen the ideas, sharpen the target? How do you help the people, your clients, really get their ideas to market and get the funding to get it off the ground?
Yeah, it's much more difficult now. Right now, Groupon would like to do an IPO, and they're having trouble doing it, and timing is important. So a lot of the companies have pulled their horns in. But if you look at Tesla, they got launched a couple of years ago and have done quite well. So it varies. But right now, the bootstrapping is still the way to go. Keep your expenses low and get out and sell products, make your customer's life better with your products and technology. And there's nothing more compelling than an idea whose time has come. And that's what drives things. And you look at the way the new iPhone is selling, there's money out there. People will buy and invest in new technology. And there'll be investors who will follow that trail.
So what do you recommend for an entrepreneur who's got a burning idea, limited funds maybe? What's some ways to help them get their idea off the ground? What would you suggest?
Working with customers. Everything, nothing starts until somebody buys something. Thomas Edison said, I don't want to invent something I can't sell. And that has to be it. The closer you are to a good customer or a narrow field that you can help improve their productivity, enhance their products, if you can sell products to them and get them, a lot of times they'll provide some seed capital other than the usual family and friends things where you have to start. And then there is plenty of money on the sidelines to do it. It's tough in Corvallis, it's tough in Oregon relative to the Bay Area where they're still doing funding. Not as much, but it's pretty flat right now.
All right. And how do you encourage your clients to, they get out of the gate rolling fast, 2 years, go down the road and they need to stay motivated, you know, and reinvent themselves. Maybe the technology they have is waning. How do you encourage them to stay on top of new technology, research, that kind of thing?
Most of the people, good entrepreneurs, are hungry for new technology anyway. A good entrepreneur has this fire in the belly and wants to create and never really wants to stop. And they usually stay on top of it. And then they have competitors who will chase them down the street if they get lazy. What it really takes, it's not the technology and often the customers, it's the grind of building the business. It's taking the blows, it's having down quarters. So it requires a lot of tenacity to be able to stay the course through the tough times, and there are always ups and downs. So what we do is when we formulate it, I like to go through a couple of these logos and brands we call it, because one of the things about entrepreneuring and starting out is getting your message across. And what we do is sometimes when developing a corporate ID or brand is coming up with a good tagline that grabs the essence of the company and says who they are. In this case, this was a local company, Calatel, started by Steve Skalberg, and it was on closed circuit TV. And he started as a distributor and wanted to make it easy to extend the CCTV cameras into security systems. And his systems were much easier for distributors to use to scale them out and extend it. So we came up with a new look for him and also the tagline, Born to Build. So out of the box, his was ready to be scalable, whereas competitors weren't. He grew up and was purchased by a mid-sized company. They were later purchased by General Electric Security. We went on to work all the way up with GE on rolling those products out. So that Born to Build was the essence there. Tripod Data Systems, which was a spin-off of Hewlett-Packard, here the R&D labs, built software for graphic calculators for surveying, mapping applications. We created their logo design based on the three pyramids, which were the beginning of civil engineering in Egypt and stuff. But we took the tagline, the way to go. And so we had to take surveying out in the field with portable handheld computers, and we borrowed the HP Way tagline because the surveyors loved the 41G calculators and the other calculators. So we piggybacked on that and helped them actually dominate the sales of software for handhelds. They were later purchased by Trimble, and now part of Trimble in town.
Gotcha. Tell us some success stories, Jerry, of some people who really started from scratch. They didn't have a lot of funding. Any of your clients have a strong success story that you could?
Well, these guys, the Tripod Data System sold to Trimble, made a good deal of money on that. Very successful. They got to see a new building go up in town, a lot of employees. The same with Calatel. It builds up. Unfortunately, what happens here in town, if you look at a Dan Whitaker and what he did with Rogue Wave or Acres Gaming, once we grow the companies, they have a tendency to move out because this is not a good headquarters type place for companies to be.
How can it be? How can the city, how can the county make Corvallis and Benton County and the region better for startups and that kind of thing?
Well, it's a good place for startups because we have OSU and because we have HP and all those spin-offs. There is a cluster of technology companies. It was around the portable handheld computers. OSU has a lot of good programs as the Entrepreneur Center. We worked with and started, in fact, at the Business Enterprise Center in town, which is still here. And for them, we created the tagline, Success Starts Here. Because if you start in an incubator, you have a lot greater chance to succeed. So all these things have been in place. But we're good at growing the companies and starting them. But once they reach a certain critical mass, they tend to move off. That is our fate as a small community, small town, but it's a healthy thing. If we play that game well, you still create a lot of wealth, you create a lot of good jobs, and you provide an environment for these kinds of entrepreneurs that will attract new startups and give something for the kids out of OSU or engineers who want to entrepreneur out of HP or the other larger companies to do something.
All right, Jerry.
You play your role, play the hand you're dealt, and play that game as well as you can.
All right, Jerry, well, thank you. How can people get a hold of Sanda?
Sanda Communications at sandacom.com. And I also do a blog where I post called Innovational Musings, where I do interviews with these innovators, and I do write and do a lot of videos also on innovation.
I hope you're a better interviewer than I am.
Oh, you do fine. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jerry.